This forces me into 5D, and I don't slip back into 3D. So you've been trying to shift. You've been trying to increase your frequency into the 5D state. You meditate, you astrally travel into higher dimensions, and you experience 5D bliss. You clear your energy, you raise your vibration, but you keep slipping back into three-dimensional pain. Why? It's like a rubber band. You go out into the multiverse, you experience these higher dimensions, and when you come back into your body, that rubber band pulls you further into the 3D pain, the muck, the nonsense. How do I know? Because the same thing has been happening to me over and over again, until very recently, when I found a method that completely rewired my 3D field polarity. And in this video, I'll show you what I have recently discovered and how I have reversed this negative polarity so that I don't slip back into 3D. Stay to the end of this video and I'll tell you everything I learned about how I keep shifting forward into higher frequencies every day and how I am enjoying the process. You see, there are 3 Earth frequencies right now. So which frequency do you feel most during the day? Now be honest. Don't try and make yourself look good. There's nobody here. I can't even see or hear you. You don't have to impress anybody. Be honest. Which frequency do you feel most days during the day? Up until recently, for me, it took everything I had. I'd go off into meditation and I'd communicate with higher dimensional beings. I'd go into this incredibly blissful state, and then I'd come back into my body and I'd be high for a while, and I'd wake up the next day and it would just be, why am I still here? Just trudging through mud, feeling miserable. So be honest with yourself. Which frequency do you feel most? So there is 3 frequencies. The first one is the emerging 5D frequency. That's the frequency that Earth is shifting into. We're tapping into it. The second frequency is the old 3rd dimensional Earth frequency. And the 3rd frequency is a new emerging frequency also, but it's the lower 3D frequency. So what has been happening is that we have been shifting between these 3 frequencies, and it makes things very confusing, very frustrating, very painful. And it's like the closer you get, the farther away you are. So it's, like trying to climb up a sandhill. You go 1 step, 2 steps forward, and you slide down 4 or 5 steps backwards. That's how it's been feeling. And a lot of people have been losing hope. I am one of those people. Up until just recently, I was losing hope. But I've figured out a method, and it works for me. So I've learned this, that each frequency, each of these 3 frequencies has a magnetic pull on similar frequencies. So your focus creates a magnetic attraction that pulls you into one of these frequencies. So what happens when we meditate is that we are focusing on a higher frequency. And we go into that higher frequency and we come back into our 3D body, which is wired to be in 3D, and it resists that higher dimensional frequency. And so when we focus on, the nonsense that's waiting for us, you got to pay your bills, you got to pay your taxes, you got to pay your car payment, you got to pay rent, you need to find a job, you need to get healthier, you need this, you need that, and everybody's telling you what you got to be and what you got to do, and that's where your focus goes, right? Well, that makes sense. That focus pulls you back into the 3rd dimension. It's like a magnetic attractor that pulls you back. So we need something. We need something that's going to actively counteract that magnetic pull. And the only thing that's going to do that is to infuse ourselves with a higher dimensional frequency that is going to overpower this third dimensional frequency and create a magnetic attraction to the higher dimensional frequencies, so that even while we're still making the shift and we're walking around in our 3D bodies, our focus is in that higher dimension. Now, that sounds easy. I know a lot of people say they're doing that, but I can only speak for myself. No matter how hard I tried, it just seemed impossible to break myself out of that. I figured a way out, and I want to share it with you. So if you choose the 5D frequency, you will be pulled into it. And 5D light beings will help to pull you into their dimension if you focus on them. Easier said than done. So this is what we're doing every week with the interdimensional meditation, where we're astrally traveling to higher dimensions. When we're doing the interdimensional CE5 meditations, we just did one last night. Today's Sunday. We did one on Saturday. So we're doing these twice a week. But again, we're having that rubber band effect. And there are people, including myself, I mean, I can't not show up and meditate. But there are people I've talked to who have said, I just don't want to meditate anymore. It makes being here that much harder. So we have to understand that there is a magnetic pull. And if you are focused in 5D, the light beings will help to pull you. But there's more. What about when we're not in direct contact with them? What about then? How do we keep our focus out of that third dimensional hell? So if you try and stay in the old third dimension, you will be pulled into the lower 3D hell. Does that make sense? So if you just try and stay here and deal with, and think you're just in the normal third dimension, it's going to pull you more deeply into the new lower third dimension. And here's the sad part. There is no middle option anymore. Either you are choosing to focus on 5D, or you are being pulled into the lower third dimension, whether you like it or not. So you can't just sit in the middle. You can't do that. It won't work. You've gone into the higher dimensions. You've seen that. You've had your mind blown, all kinds of loving, crazy feelings, and then you come back into the third dimension. You think you're crazy. How can that be real? I really want it. And then you go, I'm just going to focus on being right here, right now. And you think that you can stay in this third dimensional world. You can't. If you try and just stay here, you're going to get pulled into the lower third dimensional frequency. Because we are wired for the old 3-dimension world, it keeps pulling us down to it. You're wired for it. You're built for it. You've literally been, your frequency was set when you were born. The earth has been at a certain frequency for millions and millions of years, or who knows how long. And we've been wired to that frequency of the earth. So it's built in. It's a program. It's already there. It's not going to shift on its own. Somebody has to get in there and shift the frequency. The question is, how do we do that? Even if we experience 5D, when we come back to 3D, the lower 3D pulls us down. And this is why it feels so horrible to come back. Because you can't just come back and be normal like you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You can't do it. You come back into this normal 3D and you just slip back into an even lower frequency 3-dimensional world. And it feels horrible. You're not making that up. You're not insane. It feels worse because it is worse. And so something has to be done to fix that. So I have been given a method that forces me into 5D all day. If I practice this method, my frequency shifts and I'm no longer feeling like I'm being pulled back into lower 3D. I still go off in my higher dimensional astral travels, and I still experience even more energy and more power. And when I come back here, I now have a method to switch my frequency up so that being here doesn't feel like I'm being pulled into hell. Not only that, but my mind and my energy is focused into how to bring this 5D on this earth. And even better than that, I have more energy. I have more energy to do things. I get a lot more done. And I want to teach you how to do it. So it is possible to achieve 5D without this method, but it is a lot harder and slower, at least in my experience. So why not get the easy way out? Why not? Why not go and get an upgrade? Why not, get a faster computer? Why not get, a V6 instead of a 4-banger? Why not? This is being offered to us if we want it. So 30 years ago, I haven't told this story to a lot of people, but 30 years ago, a light being appeared to me and told me I was chosen to learn this method. So I started learning this 30 years ago. I found some very powerful spiritual masters who had mastered an energy practice. And it was a secret class. You could only go if you were invited, and you weren't allowed to go tell anybody that you were doing it. It was so secret you couldn't even tell anybody about it. And I stumbled into it. And after the first day, I came home and I was trying to do the first exercise that I was given. And I was just learning. And as soon as I did, I felt this huge rush of energy come through my body. Now, I didn't know what this energy was. In hindsight, now I know. It was from a higher dimensional being. Very blissful, very powerful, but nothing I'd ever felt before. And to be honest, even though it was beautiful and blissful, I got a little freaked out. Now, it gets even more interesting. I felt on my left side, I felt a being there. Now, of course, I couldn't see anybody there, but I could feel there was a being right here on my left side. And then I saw, first I got the message as this energy was rushing through me. I got the telepathic message, you have been chosen to learn this. Then I saw a nuclear bomb going off in my mind. And the being said, this is how powerful this method is. And then the being said, and if you misuse this power, it will be taken away from you. And whew, the being was gone. It's only now that I understand why I was told I was chosen, because for 30 years I'm like, what does that mean, I've been chosen? I know, what does that mean? So I have mastered this method, but 30 years ago, going to 5D made 3D living impossible. So what that means is that I was doing this practice and it was incredibly powerful and very blissful, beyond blissful. But because of the way that the world was then, that was the normal Earth third dimensional frequency. When I would do this practice, I would get tremendous energy. I would, my meditations would go off into the stratosphere, but I did not like being in the world. And it wasn't like it is now, where you're pulled into this hell. It was just, I didn't feel like I belonged here. And I couldn't interact with people or understand them. And the deeper I got into that practice, the more I just wanted to go off into the mountains somewhere and just practice in a cave and be a monk. That's what people have been doing for thousands of years, and that's why. But things have changed since then. So the new 5D frequency has emerged, and the 5D method I learned works immediately. When you do it, there is an immediate shift. You feel it. And you feel like you are able to manually control the frequency within you. And you have the same experience that I've had, which is that not only are you able to change the frequency within you, but you are able to keep your vision of the new 5D Earth and work towards it. And this third dimensional Earth then doesn't become this, this magnetic pull down into emptiness. You have power over what you are experiencing during these frequency shifts. So now I don't struggle to stay in 5D. The practice I do pulls me into the new 5D frequency without slipping me back into that third dimensional hell. The Mao Shan spirit fighting practices were channeled to human beings by higher dimensional mantis extraterrestrials. So this is the practice. You guys have heard me. If you've been on my channel, you've heard me talk about it. I didn't know where this came from. All of my teachers, all of the people that I trained with, we would all talk about how this is not normal. This was supposedly a Taoist practice, and I went and interacted with other Taoist masters and other Taoist Tai Chi masters and all that, and I tried their practices, and they were good, they were powerful, I enjoyed them, but it was a completely different frequency. And if I taught these practices to people, to Taoist masters, Tai Chi masters, Qigong masters, they would feel this and they would immediately go, I've never felt anything at this high frequency, this vibration. So it was a mystery until I started doing CE5, and then guess what? I found out that this is actually coming from the mantis beings, very powerful extraterrestrial beings who are the masters of energy. They transform this world. They destroy negativity and they create higher dimensional awareness. And they do it through these practices. And so they have been channeling these practices to human beings for thousands of years. And they have been preparing humans for this. And so this has come down through a long chain of people until it got to me. And now I'm the person who's here giving it to the world specifically to shift us to the 5D. And I have direct access to the masters of this who are continuing to channel this information to me. And you can be a part of that. So I was chosen to master this art so that right now I can teach others the practice that forces our frequency to shift to 5D. I am now dedicating the rest of my life to teaching this art to as many people as possible. Do you want to learn? I haven't been teaching this, I haven't taught this in probably 20 years. I've uploaded some of the forms, and and I did that partially as an experiment to see if people just learned the forms without any, intense one-on-one instruction, could they still get the energy? And they still can. Now I'm here to tell you, those people who have just learned the forms, there is much, much, much more to learn. And you really can't master it by yourself. You need to work with a teacher. So I am now dedicating my life once again to be a teacher of this practice. So here are the practices that I recommend to force your frequency to shift into 5D and stay into 5D. So the first level would contain these practices: Celestial Qigong, Awakening the Immortals, First Set Butterfly Hands, Quantum Butterfly Hands. Those are two different practices. The 64 Steps Footwork, which will be coming soon. So that's the first level. So that covers 99% of everybody that's been doing these practices. Did I put the 5 elements in there? No, that's in step 2. All right, so step 1. So if you have gone here to thunderwizard.com at some point, even if you're not there now, but you were subscribed to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, if you stayed with that and looked at all the practices, you found some Mao Shan practices. You found the Awakening the Immortals. You learned things like the Yin-Yang hands, which are also called the Sifu hands or the master hands. You have done the Mao Shan mantra, which I've uploaded some of this stuff over time. If you've done the celestial qigong, which is not part of the 90 days, but a lot of people have done that over the years. If you've done that, you have been doing the Mao Shan spirit fighting. At the very least, you've been tapping into the energies of it. So that is the first level. And the 64 steps footwork, that is a magical set. And that actually is necessary. Now, that's not something that I wanted to teach on video. Part of it was because there were still people alive who were my seniors in this. They've all passed away, but there were people who were still alive who would have said, don't give them that set, that's too powerful, they're not ready for it. And I've decided that people should learn that. So once you learn that set, if you're doing the 5 elements, that 64-step set will open the 5 elements up even greater. So I'm going to teach that as well. So that's level 1. Level 2 is the 5-element spirit fighting forms. The first set, Hands of Infinity, and the full quantum butterfly. So if you've done phase 3 of the Warrior 90 Day, you already know what the quantum butterfly is. Now, I've only taught the right hand. So there's a right hand version and a left hand version, and then I've put those together, and then I have made them so that they go in all 4 directions and they move around. It's very, very powerful. That is coming. So that's the full quantum butterfly. So the Hands of Infinity, the first set, Hands of Infinity. Now the 5-element, all right, so I'm confusing myself. So the first set, Hands of Infinity, and the full quantum butterfly. So you've probably seen these videos that have been on the site, so you can get an idea of just bits and pieces of some of these sets and what I'll be teaching. The third phase of this is the advanced, which has not been, I have not taught this yet. That is the second set, the second spirit fighting set, called the mirror set. This actually goes between the 2 different sides of reality. And it's an incredibly powerful, very beautifully intricate form, and it goes, there's a right side and a left side, and so you go through the mirror. When you experience it, you know what I'm talking about. There's nothing like it. This brings you into connection to other dimensions that stays with you. And then there's the second set. Then there's the second set mirror, the third set spirit fighting set called the Immortal Fist. It's the single most powerful set there is. And this set is so powerful that it is said that if you master it, you'll have an out-of-body experience, and you will learn another set which will make you invincible to both humans and spirits. There's a reason why I don't worry about evil spirits. This is it. All right, so there's the third set, Immortal Fist, and then there's another magical set called the Spirit Fist. And then there is one which calls upon the power of the tortoise and the snake, which is actually another name for a very powerful higher dimensional entity, a deity. And when you call upon this deity, and this deity puts energy into your body, anyway, you'll have to experience it to know. So the way that you get access to this is you subscribe to the Mao Shan Level 1 on Patreon. Now, before you do that, you're going to need to get the 5-element spirit fighting sets first. So I know it's confusing, but I put the Mao Shan Level 1 classes on the thunderwizard.com, the Patreon site. And so people have wanted to sign up, but they haven't bothered to do the 5 elements. So that's not how that works. This is a class for people who have already learned the forms. So if you just go there trying to learn the forms or learn something about Mao Shan, it's like you're going to always be doing catch up. You're not going to know all the footwork, all the movements. So you got to get those down first. Okay? So you can find that when you go to thunderwizard.com. You'll see Mao Shan Level 1 instructional videos. You can see it's the same price as the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. And so if you're there and you have the 5-element practices, you can shift over. So if you don't have the 5 elements, then you're going to need to go get those. And you do that by going to maoshan.thunderwizard.com, or you go to thunderwizard.com on the Patreon site to the shop. So click on shop in the menu and you'll see the 5-element practices. So whichever one, I don't care. But get those 5-element forms, and you don't have to worry about doing it perfectly. Once you've memorized one form, move on to the next. And when you have all 5 of them, go ahead and subscribe to the Mao Shan Level 1 instructional videos. Why am I going on and on about the Mao Shan Level 1? Because I am going to be giving you so much information. Every week I'm going to be giving you clues on posture and on the movements, but I'm going to be telling you about the history of it. I'm going to be telling you about the energy centers. I'm going to be telling you about everything. It's going to be like, I'm going to be unloading the whole tradition. So I'm doing something I didn't do before. I was just giving the videos. Now I'm going to give you the tradition. So it's really important. If you're interested in this, that's where you're going to want to go. It's very easy. Get the 5 elements and then go subscribe, and you will be on your path to mastering this. And if you are serious about it, I will make sure that you get every bit of information necessary. All right, so here's my technique. Now we finally get to it. Whatever level you're at, whatever practice you're doing, practice every day until you feel high. So that means if you're doing the Awakening the Immortals, do that over and over again until you feel so high you can barely stand up straight. If you're doing the Celestial Qigong, do that over and over again until you feel the energy. If you're doing if you look on maoshan.thunderwizard.com, there's some inexpensive, very powerful practices. There are the first set butterfly hands, very powerful. The quantum butterfly, that's also going to be relatively inexpensive. Those are full-on Mao Shan spirit fighting sets that I have taken out and put together, and I've made them even better, if I say so myself. So you will be able to get this energy in you. My technique, if you want to know what it is that keeps me, is I practice every day until I get super stoned. You can keep going if you want, but get to that level. When you feel really stoned, really high off the energy, what it means is that your frequency has been dialed up. Now, what's going to happen that doesn't happen in the meditations is that when you do the practice and you're manually, you are moving the needle up. When we do the interdimensional meditations, the light beings are doing it for us. They're moving our needle up and we're getting this passive high, and we go to places. I mean, we can't do that without their help. But what happens is when we come back and they release us, our internal frequency goes back to its normal setting. And that's why you feel yourself just smashed down when you wake up the next day. What the hell am I doing in this world? Oh, I hate it here. And so this is the way to manually shift your frequency so that you don't feel that anymore. You're still here, you see what's going on, you know you're walking around in 3D, but you can see 5D, you can feel it in your body, and you can see where to go and what to do to increase the 5D on this earth. So practice every day until you feel high. Then you can do whatever other practices you have to bring yourself down, like do the 3 ones meditation or your mantra or the 5 element postures or other things that you do to ground yourself. Combine them. Now, this I taught you how to do in the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. If you want to know why that's so important, I taught you how to do these practices and ground yourself. So if you've been doing that for a while, you can pick and choose from whatever practices you want. Do the Mao Shan practices, then pick and choose what you want. Do the standing posture, do the, put your hands over the navel, self-massage, the 3-1s meditation, the Hool breath, excellent. There's no shortage of things. We will be talking about that in the Mao Shan Level 1 class. Exactly how to create your perfect workout. I will tailor it for you. So you're going to need to subscribe to that. And of course, to do that, you're going to need to get the 5 element sets. All right. So that's my method. Much of the Mao Shan meditations, as I've said, can be found on the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong on Patreon, which is thunderwizard.com. In-person seminars are coming soon. Private in-person classes can be arranged with me. So that's going to depend on where I'm living and what I have. I'm in this house I'm in now for half of the year, and it works out great for that. So, you'll have to, of course, pay for your own lodging somewhere, and you're going to have to pay to get yourself out here, and then you're going to have to pay me for my time. But if you're serious about this, I will teach anybody who's serious, and you show me you're serious. But again, I just want to put it out there. Please, guys, don't nickel and dime me. Don't come with me. If I do this, can I get half off of that? If you do that, it makes me not want to teach you. I only want to work with people who are, like I was, desperate to learn this and willing to do whatever it takes. So if you're willing to do whatever it takes, trust me, I will meet you more than halfway. Okay? So in-person seminars coming soon, and private in-person classes can be arranged with me. Those who excel, doesn't mean that you have to get it perfectly. It means that you are putting the effort into it and you're working at it. Those who excel will be given permission to start their own classes and charge students. Okay, so I don't certify people, but what I will do is I will allow you to start your own class. That means even if you're just doing Celestial Qigong or Awakening the Immortals, if you can convince me that you're really working to do that, I will allow you to start your own classes. You may have to change the name so you're not in direct competition with me online, because that causes a problem. If you call it, the same thing I'm calling it, if you call Celestial Qigong, and then you promote that online, then people are going to pick and choose, which one is cheapest. And I've had people get back to me and say, somebody else is teaching it and charging less, and I had to go ask them to change the name. So, but when we get to the point and there's enough people, I will be more than happy to give you permission to teach any and all of it. And when there's enough understanding where this comes from and who's providing it, then I'll let you use, the same name that I'm using. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you want to do this and charge money to teach and have classes, I will be more than happy to give you permission to do that if you can show me that you're dedicated to it. All right, so there it is. Of course, the resources. We've got subscribing at thunderwizard.com. We've got maoshan.thunderwizard.com. You can go to thunderwizard.com and you'll see this there, and you can subscribe to the Mao Shan Level 1 instructional videos. All right, so I hope that was clear. I hope you understood that. I'm happy to answer any questions, except for the questions where you're trying to nickel and dime me. Can I get this half off? Can I do that? I don't like those questions. Any other questions you have that show me that you're serious, I will do my best and try and guide you as best I can. I love you, my friends. Please be very good to yourselves. Until next time, that's it for me right now. Take very good care of yourself. Focus on that 5D reality. We will bring it. I guarantee you.